turn on, like, don't disturb me, otherwise I'm gonna be disturbed. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Katseye. Should we consider Katseye K-pop? Okay, let's begin. I'm going to do this like a really poorly made debate club because I think that's fun. I think it's worth talking about both sides. You guys should make your own opinion. Reasons why Katseye is considered K-pop. Ready? Number 1, they're promoted like a K-pop group. They're treated like a K-pop group. They were formed like a K-pop group. Katseye was formed on their TV show Popstar Academy, which is on Netflix. It's kind of fun. I've only watched an episode, but I thought it was fun. Good context for the group, and it did a lot for kind of their hype going into their debut, because people who watched the show were then like, oh, I really like this member, or I like this aspect, and now I want to support them. So I think that was a good move. A lot of K-pop groups are formed by survival shows for the same reason. Seems interesting. Next is also just kind of how that training goes into their performances. I feel like Western music doesn't emphasize as much of like a choreography. Like I've noticed there are definitely artists like Tate McRae or Sabrina Carpenter where like there is choreography when they perform, but it's not the same as like a K-pop choreography where you're breaking your back and your body isolations need to be on peak. Like it's different, you know? Also the way they promote with live streams and fan meets is very much a K-pop-esque thing to do, I guess. The way they promote their comebacks with like a teaser and a pre-release single. Like I'm not gonna say like Western music doesn't do any of these things too, because they do, but I think K-pop has a more clear-cut way of how they do their promotions and how the group functions, and Katseye functions that way. And then lastly, and I feel like this is kind of the big one, is they do go on the Korean music shows. So like Mnet or I don't know, the MMAs, that kind of thing, Golden Disc maybe. Those are Korean music shows. And Katseye seems to be more in those rather than a different music show in a different country. So they're definitely more of a Korean-based unit. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like there's a lot of controversy on Katseye's not technically K-pop. There's so many like K-pop pages, this is considered a K-pop page, that talks about Katseye, and then it's like, well, technically they're not a K-pop group, but like, are they not like a K-pop group, K-pop adjacent? That's why we're talking about this, because Katseye considers themselves a global girl group. So let's talk about what that means. So Katseye was formed in California, and they did have a lot of K-pop instructors or people who have more of an influence in K-pop come and teach them. But overall, Popstar Academy was filmed in LA. They got all their members from global auditions, from scouting the internet, stuff like that. So that's definitely global, not just from Korea. Most like K-pop scouts only scout in Korea, and so if you have an idol that's like Korean Aussie, they're still like half Korean, maybe they lived in Korea. Hard to find an idol that's not influenced heavily by Korean culture. But in Katseye, only their maknae is Korean. So what do we think? Is Katseye a K-pop group? Maybe K-pop adjacent? K-pop but with a twist? Or are they a global group? Because I think honestly, you could probably argue both, because I think they're somewhere in the middle. Because yeah, personally, I think they're a global group, but I definitely think they're influenced more by Korea than any other country. And I think a lot of people are weird about it. No, guys, it's not a K-pop group, so stop calling it K-pop. But like, is it really that big of a deal? Like, we like what we like? Or people will be like, no guys, they are K-pop because they have such a heavy influence from Korea, so like we can't call them a global girl group. I just feel like we get so stuck on the label. Like, does it really matter if they're a K-pop group or a global girl group? Katseye is Katseye. Call them K-pop or not, it's Katseye. I'm gonna argue that they are a global girl group, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. But in the end, like, I'm not gonna deny that they have a lot of Korean influence. Part of that comes from the fact that the biggest label backing them is HYBE, which HYBE is like the biggest K-pop label right now. I mean, SMYG, JYP, sure, but HYBE has like some powerhouses. The big powerhouse that's returned from the military also. But I also think Katseye has obvious American influences as well. I think the obvious one is that their songs are in English, so it's a lot more accessible by the globe. And not to bring up the obvious, but the members have many different ethnicities and nationalities, so maybe they're not a clear-cut K-pop group or a clear-cut global group, but they're just Katseye, yeah? Capiche, cool. I think having a debut song titled Debut is crazy. It's kind of iconic. Also, their fan base is called the Icons. That's pretty cool. Debut did good at launching off their popularity from Popstar Academy because they did a great job of getting their fan base established early. And their fan base is pretty strong and still growing. I think they did a good job at choosing the members too. And I know they did like a fan vote thing, but you never know if those are hacked or not. But the members are funny. And they work well together, and they perform well together, and they bring a lot of different perspectives into this group, which is part of what makes it a global girl group. After debut, they released Touch, which I think that did fairly well. All over my page, my friends who never listened to K-pop were listening to Touch, and in my brain I was like, y'all are listening to K-pop? But I guess it's not K-pop, guys, it's global pop. I don't know. I feel like cutesy girl group songs always do pretty well these days. And I don't know if that's like the New Jeans Y2K wave or if everyone just likes seeing girls have fun. I don't know, but I think they kind of ate up with that. And then they also got Yeonjun on this, Yeonjun from TXT, and he did a feature, and I think that was a good call from HYBE to bring in one of their biggest, most popular idols so that their Korean audience connects more with Katseye. Wow, my throat is getting like so dry. They didn't have the brand of matcha I liked at the store, so now I have to finish this brand, and it kind of sucks. And then we have Gnarly. Speaking Gnarly, I despised when it came out. I was like, what is this? I think everyone else did too. Tell me I'm not the only one who saw the TikToks that were like, what is this? This is so bad. What are these lyrics? My favorite TikTok is of that one guy and he's like crying while like singing the lyrics. That's like so funny. I feel like there's always that one K-pop song where you're like, this is like not good. Like this is not, like what am I listening to? And then it gets stuck in your head and then you listen to it, but then you can't stop. It's just like that. And this was that, I think. I think it was really smart for them to do Touch and then do Gnarly right after, because having that variation in their discography very early kind of opens a lot of options for them and what fans can come to expect. I think it's hard when groups kind of stick to one type of music because it almost feels like they're locked into that, because then you know if they're gonna change, you know the fandom's gonna be like, what is this? Kind of sucks, but I mean, it makes sense. But doing two very different concepts back to back, I think was really good for their global popularity and just bringing in a larger audience. Part of that is that we all like seeing someone who reminds us of ourselves be successful. So I think what's really great about Katseye is by having different members that bring so many different perspectives that are all very unique from each other, it's a lot more relatable to a much larger group of people. And so we're all able to root for these girls on a larger scale. What's good about K-pop groups is even though they tend to have a leader, they do a good job at kind of giving every idol a moment to shine. And I think that really helps this global girl group get such a backing, such a fandom, is that we all see ourselves in them and we want to support them. And that is what I think the genius of a global girl group is. Katseye is releasing their new album June 27. It's titled Beautiful Chaos. And I'm really hoping that they do something like, just because we all have different perspectives and unique personalities in life doesn't mean we don't all bring something to the table. And maybe it's chaotic, but in the end it's all beautiful because when we work together and we're open-minded, it makes a beautiful chaos. I think that'd be a cool message, and I kind of hope that's what it leans towards, but I guess we'll find out. I was going to talk about VCHA in this video, Vicha. I don't actually know. Technically, they're also kind of a global girl group, but they don't have as many like unique members, different ethnicities. It's mostly just girls from America or Korea. So VCHA is JYP's global girl group. They were formed through A2K, which stands for America to Korea. And I feel like they came out pretty close to when Katseye did. Like they were competing, but also riding the same wave of like popularity. Like I think that was a really good move almost to do it together because they almost promoted each other because their concepts are similar. But VCHA ran into some issues pretty early because one of their members went on hiatus and then another one of their members like sued JYP. They haven't been been able to do promotions because of the lawsuit. And I think unfortunately that did kind of lead to Katseye getting some of their hype, but I hope if VCHA makes a comeback that they're kind of able to get some of that momentum as well. And it's rumored that they are going to come back this year, but I don't think that's been officially said anywhere. Katseye has become a really good bridge for a lot of people to kind of move towards more global music in general. I think it's been a really good point to kind of bring more culture into American media, if that makes sense. So I'm excited for their comeback, and we'll definitely talk about it when it comes out, so stay tuned. That's all my notes, so that was pretty good. I'm a one-take wonder or something like that.